First of all, I want to say Coco is a really good friend of mine. Coco Black, one of the best designers in the world, because he brings a different perspective to it. He's not afraid to be edgy. He's not afraid to be different, right? And design says a lot about who you are as a brand. You know, is everybody Battleship Gray? I mean, I don't know how many gyms you ever walk in, and it's all Battleship Gray. You feel like you're in a submarine, and it's like, where did that color come from, right? Don't be afraid to take some risks with that design, and that's what I love about him. But he also brings in a lot of cool features and things that really make a statement. But that's also what it is. That vibe, that environment, people want to feel comfortable when they go there. And I think that's where Planet, did a job when they created that, non-intimidation phrase, and they tried to create that environment. Curves many years ago. They no men, no makeup, no mirrors, come as you are. Like they created an environment. It was simple, but it appealed to that market. So your design, and I'm not an interior designer. I'm by no means, on the level of a Coco and some of these other guys. But from my perspective, I want to take what a designer does and make it functional, right? It's almost like sometimes it can get a little carried away. And it's like, okay, man, who's going to clean that? Like, how's that going to work at the front desk? So with my experience in being in front-end operations and understanding the inner workings of a gym and what has to happen every day from being a trainer or a membership coordinator or an owner or a manager, I think about that day-to-day operation as well. And I think about, okay, well, my employees are the key part of creating a great experience. So I need to design a gym that makes it easy for my staff to do their job and deliver a great experience. And I think a lot of people miss that. What's the experience like for your staff to deliver great service? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a missing link in some facilities. Is the desk big enough? Where's all the tools? How quickly can they get an answer to somebody? There's one phone. Well, if it's ringing, you got people doing it.
It's an interesting point, and it can certainly come across from me as being biased. But we've worked with a lot of different companies, particularly again, I'll use where I am in California, and New York as well. We've got some very interesting partners and distributors we work with, and when you take out like the traditional fitness industry, fee-based clubs, that is very much the approach. And I get it. They've got budgets to make and price points to hit, and you've got to give those things some consideration. But I asked myself a question: well, does the consumer care? And I suppose if obviously people who have not been in the gym, they probably don't, and they don't know the difference. But I suppose people who do, it's the question: well, would they notice if we did something different? And when I look at some of the corporate and particularly apartment complexes that go up very high end, and they're trying to use the gym as a way to raise the rents, and they're trying to be able to say, well, look, we've got the best in here. It's quite amazing how they're really leading. If someone said, well, what's one of the most innovative gyms you see? I would say some of those are in apartment complexes, because like the kit, you've probably got some of these brands that may not be quite as popular, but as someone who's worked out for 30 years, the kit actually is really good equipment, from a functionality or to do certain things. Now, maybe not one brand does all those pieces, but you can, when you go into them, you think this is like a sort of a candy store. It's amazing, and so it's an interesting conversation. And I wonder if, some of those grey-walled, very traditional one-brand places will have to evolve when you have people that are saying, well, look, this is going to be. I don't know what I can compare it to in another industry, but we've got the best of the best. I've got a great story to tell, and this is really a great place to kind of get all the different fitness experiences.
So I think you just identified the sneaky assassin for a lot of people, and that's these corporate and apartment-based fitness centers. They're starting to invest a lot more in them, and you think about why a lot of people go to a gym or select a gym. It's convenience. Before it's like, okay, I took an apartment, a small apartment, I put a treadmill in there, I put elliptical, there's a mat, but now they're creating some great spaces. And I think that a lot of our industry need to take note about how that's impacting some of their memberships and revenues and what they're doing. So the better they get at doing those spaces, those are markets that we're going to have a hard time getting. Now, there's something to be said for how big is it, how many people it can get. But they are willing to spend more money on a better product, even just from a visual standpoint, right? It's like there's a perceived value when they see, like I love with your kit especially, the bright colors, the color combinations, how easy it is from, everything that's blue is going to be this way and green, and it makes a lot of sense. And when you walk in, it's visually appealing. Whether a person actually goes or not is one part of the battle. But if they're visually stimulated and it appeals to them and they go, wow, here's my money. That's the first half, right? And I have to connect with them. And so sometimes spending more money on a product like that and creating a space like that takes away half the battle. They perceive a certain amount of value. Now I just got to get them to use it, which is the other one. And as far as outfitting the gyms, I want the best of the best because I want to be able to have a story, and I think that that's the other problem. People buy things and think, oh, I just spent, $10,000 on this piece of equipment. Everybody's going to use it and come, and it sits in the corner and collects dust. Why? Because you didn't tell the story of why you got it. You did a bad job launching it. Did you make it exciting? Did you put balloons on it? Did you hold an open house? Do you have a trainer sitting there teaching people how to use it? Are you doing demos? Or did you just throw another piece of equipment on the gym floor? And when I do a gym, for me personally, every single piece has a purpose. Why I put a certain brand of treadmill in this gym versus that gym. Why am I going to use this type of functional equipment, or why am I going to use that type of cardio, or am I going to put this type of turf or this rig or rack? Everything is for a reason. And I think a lot of times we get so hyped up on, okay, I'm just going to outfit it, I get a price. You don't think about those things. And to me, that's a really, really big part of what I do.